Hello, welcome to Monastic Online Classes. Me, Dr. Bihari, and I am going to discuss about the second part of the first of the biota and environment. First part is already discussed in previous class. So this is already the second part of the same topics, biota and environment. In first part, we already discussed about the abiotic factors, means non-living factors, which affect the living organisms. Now we are going to discuss on the biotic factors which affect the life of other organisms in the environment. So biotic, first of all, what is biotic factors? So biotic factors means living things that directly or indirectly affect the organisms. Biotic factors like plants and animals and other microbes, viruses, all these are the biotic factors which affect organisms or our lives within an environment, and this includes the organisms themselves. So, organisms themselves, other organisms, and interaction between living organisms. This is about the biotic factors which affect the life of living organisms either directly or indirectly. So, what do you mean by interaction? Interaction among living organisms, we are going to discuss. Interaction can be defined as reciprocal action or influence. Means one living beings affect the life of other living beings, either in food sharing, space, or in other way, or like competition in different fields. So this is known as interaction. So reciprocal action and influence, which by means of this, one organism influence affect the life of other organisms. Now, and this interaction can be divided into two parts. First is the positive interaction, means that is the beneficial to the living organisms, in which either two of the living organisms are benefited from each other, or one is harmed, another is unaffected. This type of interaction is known as positive interaction. Positive interactions in which the living organisms show following types of interactions. Positive interactions, we are discussing about the positive interaction, neutralism. So neutralism is the word, neutral, in which most of the common types of interaction it is. And in this interaction, simply two species live side by side, live together, and without any harm or without any benefit. So as example of neutralism would be the interaction between the rainbow trout, it is a type of birds, and dandelions living in mountain valley. So these two types of birds live together, but without any effect, neither positive nor negative. Now mutualism, another word for positive interaction is the mutualism, means both are benefited. Mutualism, both are benefited. So mutualism is a symbiotic relationship, means that type of relationship in which both the partners, both the living beings are benefited from each other, especially benefited, and is the name given to association between pairs of species. So two different types of species live together, and they bring mutual benefit. So they are both are beneficial for each other. The relation is obligatory, means so these two living organisms cannot survive without others. So the two species live together and it becomes difficult to survive without a species. So this type of relation is known as mutualism. Obligatory means essential for the survival. For example, most rooting plants have mutualistic association with fungal mycorrhiza. So some plants contain or possess mycorrhizal fungus in their root, and these are the fungus which found in root and provide some growth hormones to the root, and in return they get food, shelter and protection from that plant. So this type of relationship is known as mutualism. Now another examples. So the example is explained here. Mycorrhiza increase the capability of plant roots to absorb nutrients like nitrogen, and in some cases it also provides plant growth hormones, and in return the roots of the host provide support and constant supply of carbohydrate means food. And another example for the mutualism is fungal and algal symbiosis association, which is known as lichen. So you have already studied about the lichen. Lichen is the association of algae and fungi. So algae can make food by photosynthesis for both algae and fungi, and fungi provide protection to the lichen's thallus, and also it helps in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So these are the examples of mutualism in which both the partners are benefited from each other, and if one partner is removed from there, the survival of other partners become very, very difficult. Commensalism is another example of positive interaction. Commensalism in which one is benefited and another is neither benefited nor affected. So in commensalism is another type of positive interaction in which only one species is benefited, but while the other is not affected or not benefited. So some examples for this commensalism are orchids. This is a type of plants which grow on other plant body for support, but they make their food themselves, so they never harm to the plant body on which they grow. So it grow on the branches of the tree, other trees, on the trunks, but never harm that. They get only support from these plants. Examples. Other examples are, one is orchid and another example is mites attached themselves on the larger flying insects. Mites is the small insects which get attached to the body of the other insects and get free ride. When insects fly from one place to another place, they help in riding and changing their place. Shark and remora fish. So shark is a larger fish which is mainly found in sea, and remora fish is another small fish which remains attached to the shark body of the shark fish, and they move when the sharks move from one place to another place, and thus it helps in their predation, food feeding. Other examples include sea anemone. It is a sea anemone is a animal which is also found in sea, as the name indicates, sea anemone. So it remains attached to the hermit crab, simple crab, but hermit crab, this is found in sea. Another type of simple crab also found here in our surrounding. So this is also similar to that crab, but slightly different. So sea anemones remain attached to the hermit crab, and they help in their walking, because sea anemone cannot move from one place to another place. But when hermit crabs move, they help in their movement and get food. Now, third one is Proto Cooperation. It is also beneficial for both the partners, like mutualism. But it is less than the mutualism. Because in mutualism, we already discussed about that. That is obligatory means that is essential for the survival of organisms, because one is disturbed, another also become disturbed. But here in Proto Corporation, both the partners are benefited, but it is not obligatory. Means the life of one organism cannot be completely depend on another. So here is the definition. Proto Corporation is a type of interaction between two organisms of different species in which both are benefited. दुईटै benefited हुन्छ, but the relation is not obligatory, means their survival is possible if one is separated from there. But in mutualism, the survival of one species is not possible if the other partner is separated. Examples are here. The relation between water snakes and large birds. Herons, abysses on several islands. So this is also belongs to the sea coast, seashore, samundrako छेउमा. Because the snake protect the birds from raccoons. Raccoons, these are the large animals which found in sea, and they can climb tree. So raccoons is the predator which feed upon the birds. So a snake saved the bird from raccoons, because the snake congregate around the base of tree. Means सर्प जुन हुन्छ त्यो यो ट्रीको बेसमा वरिपरि बसेको हुन्छ, and because of this raccoons cannot climb the tree, because raccoons can be fed by a snake, so they did not go there. And in return, so a snake saved the birds, and in return the snake feed on fish dropped by the birds. So birds drop some fishes, and the snake feeds on that fishes dropped by bird, and the baby birds that fall out of the nest. Sometimes baby birds also fall from the nest. So the snake also feeds upon that baby birds. So this is the Proto Corporation in which both of them are benefited, but here they are not obligatory, means they are not completely dependent upon each other for their survival. Now, colonization means live in group. So in our surrounding we found several types of birds, and these are several types of plants, animals also. So they live in colony, in group, and they for mutual benefits and their defense, to protect themselves from the enemies, like this. So this is the colonization. Now, social organization. Social, as you know, society. Human being is also a social animal. We live in society. Why live in society? To protect ourselves from enemy, to get help in emergency cases and other ways. Okay? So social organization refer to how individuals learn to associate. Individual organisms associate together, relate to each other, rely, believe on each other, and depend upon one another into formal social groups. So social groups, as human beings are also social organisms. So we live together, relate together with each other, and depend upon the needs, and so we form formal social groups. So human being is also a social animal. Examples. The best example of social organization is honey bee, are also called social insects because they live together in large and well organized family group. So honey bee live together in large group, and they show division of labor, means the work is divided among their members. Divided among the different types of honeybees in the colony or hive. Hive means comb where the bee live. There are 3 types of honeybees within a hive. So in group there are, or in a hive, there are 3 types of bee. As you know, it is very popular example for the social organizations. And these 3 types of bee are queen, the workers, these are the all females except one, which is known as queen, and the drones. Drones are the male, one of which take parts in copulation from the queen. So workers are the female, and these are the progeny of queen, which works for entire hives or entire group. So 3 types of division of labors are found in honey bee. Now another example, the example is explained in brief. A queen bee is the only female bee in the hive that gets to reproduce. So it is mainly concerned with reproduction. Worker bees are all female and are all offspring of the queen. So these are the children of the queen. But there are males in the hive called drones. So these are the males, these are called drones, one of which takes part in reproduction or copulation at the time of reproduction with the queen. So examples. Now, negative interaction. Negative interactions, in this interaction we see here also 2 types of organisms live together, interact together, but one is harmed and another get benefit. So this type of interaction is known as negative interaction, and first example of this is first type is competition. As you know, several types of competition occurs in our life, for food, shelter, for education, for take position, for job, like that. So in this way, in environment also, organisms are compete with each other for food, water, nesting, and ground space. So these are the requirements of the organisms compete with each other, and competition among individuals of different species. So it may takes place between the different species, different types of species, or the species of the same species, or the individual of the same species, and the intraspecific, that is known as intraspecific, when interaction occurs between the same species, and this is very tough and high because of the same requirements of the species. Amenalism. Amenalism is the name which is a relationship between organisms of different species in which one organism is inhibited or destroyed. So it is highly harmed types of relation in which one organism inhibited or destroyed totally by the others, and others remains unaffected or get benefit from this relationship. Examples. Amynalism include the shedding out of one plant by a taller and wider one, and the inhibition of one plant by the secretion of another, which is known as allopathy. So in forest, this type of examples is seen generally seen in forest. So in forest, larger tree cast shade on the ground, and thus the ground vegetations are affected by the shade of this tree. And another type of inhibition is amynalism, is one organism produces some poisonous substances or organic substances which affects the another, and that is known as allopathy. Allopathy involves the production and release of chemical substances by one species. So they release chemical substances that harm the growth of another or inhibit the growth of another. Now parasitism. Parasitism, so as you know, when a living organism feeds upon the another living beings, is known as parasitism. It is also a type of symbiotic relationship in which one species, the parasite benefits, while the other species, the host, is harmed. So one is benefited and another is harmed. For example, roundworms are parasites of mammals, which are also found in our body, in our intestine, which get our ready-made food from intestine and also suck blood from our intestine. Roundworms, including humans, cats, and dogs. So these animals are found. Roundworms are found as a parasite in intestine, which take our ready-made food and also suck blood from our body and may cause several types of diseases also. So these are examples of parasitism. So parasitism means one or parasite leave the another body, living body. Now predation. Predation means to kill and feed upon the another animals, is known as predation. Predation is the act of preying, means to kill, capture, kill, and feed. Preying on someone or something. A predator is an organism that eats another organism. So predator is a generally larger animal which capture, kills, and feed on another organism. A predator attacks a smaller, weaker animal, and that animals are called as prey, which prey upon the a smaller animal are known as predator. Predator are larger animals which feed upon the other, and the another animal which is fed by the predator is known as prey. Some examples of predator are prey, and predator and prey are lion. So lion are the predator which feed upon zebra, deer, bear. Another example is bear and fish. So as you know, bear feeds upon the fish from the water bodies. Fox and rabbit. These are also examples. And another example is here, predator and prey, leopard and deer. So leopard is a large animals which can run very fastly in environment, and they feed upon the deer. They capture, kills, and feed the deer. So this is image for the predator and prey. Now antibiosis. Antibiosis, this type of interaction occurs among the microorganisms. Microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, these are organisms. So they live together and produce some chemical substances which is also known as antibiotics. So by producing antibiotics, they affect or kill the other organisms in which one is adversely affected. So one is benefited. So especially organism, and antagonistic association between two organisms in which one is adversely affected, while the other is also not benefited. Okay? In other examples, we have we have a study, one is at least benefited, but here both of them are not benefited, but adversely affect the others. So examples of antibiotics include the relationship between antibiotics and bacteria. So some type of bacteria produces antibiotics which kills the other bacteria, or animals and disease causing pathogens. So animals in which pathogens are live, which cause diseases. So these are the negative and positive interaction of the biological or living being interactions. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.